Hey my friends, welcome back. I'm not too far away from where I was raised in New Hampshire. For a good portion of my life, in my young childhood, I spent a lot of time in Hooksett, New Hampshire and Manchester, New Hampshire. A lot of good memories. Stayed there for a few years and moved down to Maryland after that. Now that I'm here, I'm remembering a lot of old memories. Things that I had forgotten about over the years. I passed by a store that we always used to shop at called Market Basket. It's kind of funny, I forgot all about that. But whenever you go back to wherever you were raised, no matter who you are, I'm sure you get some memories from that area. You start thinking about things. So I'm just down the road from there. I really didn't think I would come back here in an 18-wheeler. I thought if I ever came back to this area, I would be in my own personal car and I would be exploring all the old places where I basically grew up, all the neighborhoods, visit those areas where I got into fights. I did get into a few fights in my childhood. I only lost once. It was a 2-on-1. That was an interesting story. I told this to my brother a few years ago. I think he kind of forgot it because he was so young at the time, but we were waiting in line to get on the bus. And I was there with him, you know, I think he either bumped into someone on accident or just something happened, another 5th grader. And at the time my brother was in the 2nd grade. So that 5th grader, as soon as, I don't know if he ran into my brother or if my brother stumbled into him, that kid didn't know that I was the older brother, so I was just standing right there you know, within a few feet away. When that happened, he looked at my brother and said, you know, something to the effect of, get out of my way, or you're gay, or, you know, get away from me. And of course, you know, my brother is not gay, and I took offense to that, the fact that this kid did that. So I went up to him and I said, you're the one that's gay. And at the time, you know, it was kind of like, you know, I know nowadays, you know, 2021, you know, you are what you are. You know, I'm not gonna come here and bash anyone. This is not a bashing post. But at the time, that was a derogatory term to call another kid. You know, it was kind of like a curse word if you called someone that. So I said that to him. When we got off the bus, him and his other friend, a bigger friend, got off the bus. I told my brother and sister to go home, and I stayed back, and they both beat me up. So that was the one time I didn't stand a chance, and I wasn't really much of a fighter overall, you know, compared to them. They, at the time, were watching wrestling. They were big into wrestling, you know, the old WWF. And I wasn't really watching wrestling that much. You know, I would watch it with my grandpa here and there, but I never really practiced it. I never really went to some friends, you know, body slamming them. But yeah, I got my ass kicked there. But I did get my revenge on him a couple months later. We did become friends after that. You know, we made up, and, you know, our parents, you know, from what I recall, they came down and we all lived in the same unit area. It was like condominiums. So I became friends with him, and a few months later we had a little dispute at the Sandbox. So we decided to settle it in a fight. You know, like gentlemen. And it was one-on-one. I was waiting for this day. I knew without his buddy he wouldn't stand much of a chance. Let's make this turn here. And I'll tell you what, I still remember vividly, I overpowered him, and I kept on, and this is probably gonna get a little graphic here, but I kept on standing up and elbowing him. I kept dropping my elbow down on his back when he was down. So I didn't just beat him up. You know, I rubbed his face in the sand. I did some elbow drops on his back. I got straight up and just elbowed him. And looking back, it was overkill, but it was just a lot of pent-up rage because I had never lost a fight before then. I had gotten into little fights when I was younger, you know, those were nothing compared to that fight there, you know. And then after that, the only other fight that I was in high school. It was against a 9th grader, so we had an age difference. Now this kid was throwing some pen caps across the classroom. And it's funny enough, I was in the 12th grade, and my sister was in the 10th grade, if I recall correctly, yeah, the 10th grade. We were both taking the same Spanish class in high school. And I had a problem with those guys throwing pen caps around because it did hit her a few times, and I just started to get a little bit annoyed. I gave them the eye, so they knew what they were doing was wrong. I just stared them down, and then they stopped for a while. And then this is where the disrespect comes in. I have a pretty low tolerance for disrespect, even back then. You know, I wasn't the strongest kid. I was maybe about 100, I don't know, 115, 120 pounds. Maybe, actually probably a little bit more than that. But I was pretty skinny, but I was still much larger than this kid. Now him and his buddy kept on throwing the pen caps around, and eventually it hit me. And you're probably thinking, it's just a pen cap, no big deal. But think of it this way, everyone in class just saw that, you know, they all saw what was going on. They saw this kid throwing the pen caps, it hit my sister, and I stared them down. And then look, you know, I don't think it was a coincidence that it hit me. So it might seem silly to some people, but to me, I just took it as a direct insult. So I got up, took the pen cap, brought it right up to him. I forget exactly what I said, but it was something to the effect of, "You better not throw this around anymore." And then he started to mock me right in front of me. So I took the pen cap and just tossed it at him. It wasn't a hard chuck, it wasn't anything like that. I just took it, just tossed it at his chest. And then he came right up to my chest, like he put his chest up against mine, which he was so short, he was in the 9th grade, it pretty much came up to my stomach. As soon as he came right up into my bubble, I pushed him back. He came back to punch me. He contacted, but I contacted him right back. You know, at the time, I wasn't really a fighter. I had no experience. I didn't know what to do as far as dodging. So I took all of his punches. I did not dodge any of them. I took them all, but I was laying some very strong punches on him. And eventually I picked him up, threw him into a whole bunch of desks. You're probably thinking, where is the teacher at this point? She was all the way on the other side of the class, and I'm sure adrenaline was flowing, but I could not hear her at all. There was a lot of commotion going on in the class. Everyone was going wild, you know. But I picked him up, I tossed him into some desks. He got back up and punched me again. I grabbed him with both of his shoulders, tossed him into another set of desks. So after that, you know, the teacher came right in between us, right as he was getting right back up to come up to me. And I gotta give it to him, that kid had heart. I hit him with some very strong punches, you know, especially for his size. He had some fight in him. He did try to knock me out. Like, he kept trying to punch me right on the chin, but he was not connecting. I put 2 and 2 together afterwards. I realized he really is trying to, he was trying to go for the knockout blow, but his punches just weren't strong enough. But yeah, it's funny what you think of. Now, the funny thing is that happened in high school. Like I said, you know, the memories I had here in New Hampshire, that's just from childhood. But then you start thinking about other things. When you start thinking about the little things like the fights, you know, I also have other good memories, riding my bikes around with some of my friends, Ron and Chris. We always did some crazy things as little kids. I think I met him when I was 8 years old, maybe. And then Ron, so we were like the Three Musketeers, just riding our bikes around everywhere. So, yeah, a lot of good memories there, a lot of good memories. And New Hampshire is beautiful. There's just a lot of little hills and mountains. I don't think it's very truck driver friendly because there aren't that many truck stops. You know, there aren't many truck friendly places to pull into. Now, I was just in Maine, and I think Maine might be a little bit worse, or maybe about the same, but I went all the way up to the border, to the most northeastern part of Maine, right up there by Easton, right by the Canadian border. There's literally nothing up there. You know, I had to plan my trip. You know, there was a Planet Fitness and Anytime Fitness, a few of them that I saved along the way that I could stop at. So I was able to get my workouts, I was still able to get my showers. So for me, Maine isn't a big deal, but I can imagine for other drivers, it would be a little bit of a nightmare to go to Maine. They're just... Another issue is there are no Pilot fuel stops. That's where we fuel at. So that's, you know, along with the fact that you don't really have much reception up there with your phone. If you stop at the wrong place for the night, you're not going to have access to really anything. At least with T-Mobile. Maybe if you have another carrier, you'll be fine in Maine. But I like the fact there really wasn't too much traffic overall. So overall, I don't mind. Man, let me go in the left lane. I'm trying to go as fast as I can here, guys. You see how long I've been driving here? There's a slight incline, and I'm loaded up here to close to maximum gross weight. I can't pull up this hill that well, even with the DD15 engine. So I look like a fool right now in the left lane because that guy came into my, you know, in my spot that I was gonna go into the right lane. So now we're gonna go in the right lane. Anytime you turn on your right turn signal, the truck doesn't know that you know that there's a car there, so it'll just beep at you like that. It does get a little bit annoying sometimes. If I was to spec my own truck, I would just disable all of these things. All of these safety features on the trucks, I would disable them all. Now I know it will help other people out there, and maybe there might be times when it might actually help me, who knows. But I haven't really had to rely on it, so. But yeah, it's good to be in New Hampshire, and it's a beautiful time to be here. The weather is beautiful. The leaves are all changing colors. Maine looked so much better, in my opinion, with the way the leaves were changing colors. I had a really good view out there of some, you know, just everything. The mountains, the sea, you know, there's a little bit of everything out there. Let's go into the left lane here. This guy keeps slowing down and speeding up, and I don't want to stay behind him and play this game. Well, now this is a slight incline, I can't. See, that's the other annoying thing. You don't think about it when you're driving your car. Sometimes this person in front of me is going so slow, incredibly slow. I mean, he's you know, he keeps slowing down. Now he's speeding back up on the hill, of course. So here's the thing, I can't pass him, but as soon as I start to build up momentum again, he's probably gonna slow it back down. And right now I'm losing momentum. I'm going down to 58 miles an hour. You know, it really isn't a big deal if you think about it. But if your personal car was like this, I don't care who you are, you would get very annoyed. You would get incredibly annoyed because you can't pass that annoying car. Where when you're in your normal everyday car, you don't even think about it. When someone's going slow, you pass him, he's in your rear view mirror, you never have to deal with him again. As a truck driver, it's like a bad horror movie sequel. As soon as you pass them, but then you get up to another incline, here comes along old granny in the left lane again, going that ridiculously slow, and then she passes you up the hill. And then when she's going down the hill, she's too afraid, so she slows down. And then you're coming down with all that momentum right behind her. You don't want to burn up your brakes. You know, you don't want to put too much stress on the engine with the engine brakes. So it really is a lose-lose situation a lot of times. You have to end up passing her again, or him. It could be an old man too. It could be a young man. It could be a young girl. It could, you know, who knows? Really, it's anybody. It does get a little bit annoying out here. It does get annoying with the shippers and receivers. In fact, it gets very annoying. You know, I used to be a local driver for a few years. I know I mentioned that before. That has its drawbacks as well. But at this point, I'm starting to miss local truck driving. GP has treated me well. I can't say anything bad about GP Transco. The only critique that I do have is their policy on wearing your safety vest on the yard at all times. They put signs up for it. And I guess it is what it is. It's their lot, their rules. But if I'm on a 34-hour reset or a 10-hour break, me personally, I have a problem with someone telling me what to wear on my own time. If I'm on duty over there doing some work, whatever, then yeah, sure, that's their policy, their rules. It's almost like going to a shipper or a receiver that requires you to wear a safety vest. But like I said, if I'm on my own time, my own 10-hour break, I don't like anyone telling me what to wear. I hate when people do that. They get right in front of you and then they start to slow down. He's not slowing down incredibly much, but they get out in front of you. These newer trucks are equipped with this system that'll kind of warn you, like, hey, that guy is too close. You know, it does tend to get annoying sometimes with these trucks, and it happens all the time. People will get right in front of you. That they don't know that. That's the thing. Most people don't know that a lot of these newer trucks have the sensors in them. And what a lot of drivers will do, they'll override everything. So if you get out in front of them, like in traffic, they'll have to override the system by holding in the gas pedal. I mean, the fuel pedal. Now, every single video I've put out, I've always told myself, if I'm not willing to sit down and watch this video, I'm not going to release it. I've actually made a few videos, done all the editing, added in a few little funny things here and there. Then I've replayed it and I said, this just isn't good enough to post. So I completely delete it. Yeah, that's hours and hours of lost time of sitting down, putting a video together, between, you know, uploading it from the camera to the phone and the video editing software going into that. I think the easier thing to do might be just shoot the video and just upload it directly into YouTube. Anyway, I'm gonna continue driving along here. I'll catch you guys on the next video next week. Take care, everyone. Have a good week.
Think about it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by go. You know the thing. If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. Have the shells, a 12-gauge shotgun, and I promise you, as I told my wife, we live in an area that's wooded and somewhat secluded. I said, Jill, if there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony here or walk out put that double-barrel shotgun and fired 2 blasts outside the house. I promise you, whoever's ever coming in is not going to... You don't need an AR-15. Buy a shotgun. Buy a shotgun. Why doesn't he just act like a president? That's a stupid way to say it.
You know, Donald Trump was
really
asked on...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, probably best I don't. See, I just can't figure the guy. I don't know, it's like watching a yo-yo. I shouldn't have said it that way. It's like watching...
It feels that way. I want to ask you...
If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330 and help me buy a shotgun. Buy a shotgun.